and we'll try our best to answer them.
But first up, let's talk about what's been happening this week. It's been an interesting week of weather, aren't they all? Back to kind of cooler than average. Many people would describe it as maybe disappointing. I spent 3 nights in a tent this week, so that's a big achievement for me. But a nice weather at the weekend. What's caught your eye? What have you learnt this week from the weather, Abe?
Well, following June's relatively short-lived hot spell, I looked back at previous Junes to see what the highest temperatures were recorded each month. And I looked at the 70s, actually, because the 70s still hold the record for the hottest day on record in June. But not every June in the 70s was hot. You never guess what the highest temperature in June 1972 was.
I heard it was pretty low. Must be 28, 29?
23, actually.
Whoa.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. That is low.
Yeah.
So the highest temperature in June in 1972. So when people talk about hot, sunny Junes of the 70s, they often think of 76. And that's all they think of.
75 was hot as well. But a lot of Junes in the 70s. In fact, 1972, that was the coldest June on record.
A lot of talk this week about Beryl as well. Obviously, really serious hurricane, and it's the earliest Category 5 storm recorded. Normally the peak season is August, September, October. That's when you get the really big storms. But the sea surface temperature is anomalously warm in that part of the world at the moment. That's helped to fuel that really powerful storm that's still going at the moment. It has eased off a little bit, but still quite a potent storm. So it's been a busy week of weather.
It's been extraordinary, hasn't it, Beryl? 2 months earlier than any other Category 5 hurricane. Just mind-boggling. We've already had a few questions coming in. Alex Burkle has asked, why was Alex in a tent this week?
That's a good question. I went camping with my kids at the weekend, which I don't often do. But that was successful and beautiful, lovely weather. And then I went to a gig at the Eden Project on Tuesday night, which was also very good, and I can highly recommend. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah, I'm not really a Bear Grylls kind of guy, but you know, 3 nights in a tent this week is pretty good going for me. I've changed. I have changed. Yeah, I'll grow a beard one day soon.
Speaking of camping, actually, Sharon is going camping in the Cotswolds this weekend. What can she expect?
Well, let's take a look at the weather, shall we? Let's jump over to the big screen and take a look at what's going on. Here's the satellite image. Lots of cloud has been streaming in. Our weather's been much more disturbed over recent days, and that's, as you might imagine, due to the position of the jet stream. It did temporarily head up here, and that's what we need. There's a warm and a cold side to the jet. When the jet goes up here, we get some warmer air, and that did happen temporarily at the end of June. But since then, it has become south shifted again back in here, and of course that is the path for all the low pressure systems, and the jet continues in this kind of path for the next several days. If we just fast forward, actually, if anything, it dips down to the south of the UK, and that generates low pressure systems. So it is going to be a pretty mixed weekend, and that's putting it politely. It's going to stay on the cool side. There's going to be plenty more showers, and look at this, another little area of low pressure likely to develop and push up across the country as we go into the latter part of the weekend and into next week. And no real sign of it shifting even well into next week. There are some signs that after this low pressure clears away, back end of next week, it's a battle between high and low. Which one will win out? And some of the models are suggesting that high pressure may move in towards the end of next week. But certainly for much of the foreseeable future, for most of the next week, it's staying unsettled. The jet stream's to the south, and we're looking at showery weather. Let's put a little more detail on. Cotswolds, was it?
Yeah, that's right. Saturday, Sunday.
I mean, Saturday, look at that. It's basically a showery day. Lots of showers. The wind's coming in from the west, from the northwest. The low pressure that we've got at the moment, bringing the rain in here. So we've got this little wave. It's quite a wet evening. So that's back to this evening. Quite a wet evening across the south. That is developing into an area of low pressure. That does tend to clear away overnight, but it just leaves us with plenty of showers tomorrow. So it's basically sunshine and showers tomorrow, but more showers in some areas than others. So in the Cotswolds, it's likely to be quite wet first thing after the overnight rain, and then I'm reasonably hopeful that it might get a little brighter come the afternoon and into the evening time. we may see the showers fading in here. Let's zoom in a little bit. So looking pretty showery for most of the day. It's not going to rain all day. The showers will just tend to come and go, but it doesn't look perfect for the Cotswolds.
Reasonable evening on Saturday, isn't it?
Yes.
It's nice to have a dry evening when you're camping, if you're cooking food outside or whatever.
Or if you're going to the pub to watch the football.
There you go. Ideal either way. And then it's not too hot overnight, so that's good.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. So yeah, some benefits there, but during the day, expect showers. Be prepared for some wet weather.
Thank you for all your questions. Lots of interest in this weekend, actually. Toby from Plymouth, he's going sailing. What do you reckon about those winds?
Yeah, quite lively, I'd have thought. Plymouth, that's northwesterly, so an offshore. Yeah, I think it's going to stay fairly gusty through the day. Nothing exceptional. I'm not a big sailor. I don't know what's acceptable in terms of wind strength for a sailor, but it's going to be fresh. I guess you want some breeze if you're going sailing, wouldn't you? But let's put the winds on.
Quite choppy as well, couldn't it?
Yes. There's the gusts up there, but we're not going to see anything threatening those kind of gust levels. But it does get quite windy as that low develops this evening, so that could generate quite a bit of choppiness. And then you've got an offshore flow that's going to generate quite a few waves as well in that part of the world. So brisk winds in the Plymouth area, but nothing too scary. But then, this time of year, you'd expect the winds to be a little bit lighter than that. It's quite breezy. Not as windy as it was on Thursday across northern areas. That was unusually windy, wasn't it? So yeah, enough of a breeze to keep it sporting, I think is the way I would describe it.
Doesn't sound too bad for you, Toby. Dave, looking further afield, he's going to the south of France next week. What do you think? Is it going to be hot in the south of France?
Next week?
Yeah.
Well, there's the jet stream, so south of France is on the warm side of the jet for sure. Some warm air in here, nothing too exceptional for the time of year, but it does look as if, as we go through the next few days, the jet is going to drive a little further south, and that could generate, push the warmer air a little further away and generate from this area of low pressure a bit more cloud. I suspect it'll be pretty good without being too hot in that part of the world. Let's look at the temperatures through next week by zooming in a little bit. Let's see if we can find somewhere. So Madrid is up to there, 19. So the south of France here, you can see a bit of warmth there. Let's put the other temperature graph on, actually. And then, oh no, I'm doing that wrong. I like that one.
Put that one on, yeah.
And then go maximum temperatures, and then we'll move the map. I know what I'm doing, honestly. And we can zoom in here, can't we? And then if you press start, we'll get a temperature for down here. Look, so there we go. Look at that.
Warming up.
So it's temperatures, yeah, generally dipping a little bit through the weekend, but up to that, 34, 35, that's getting toasty, isn't it? So anywhere around there. So it depends where you're going exactly. In the Alps, up here, it'll be a little cooler, a little more comfortable in the Alps, a bit fresher, temperatures in the high teens, low 20s. But yeah, south of France could see temperatures getting back into the low 30s. Nothing unusual about that in July, not the 40s, high 40s that we saw at times through last summer. So nothing exceptional with that jet stream, likely to introduce a bit more cloud at times. And I guess the possibility of some showers, but I suspect it's going to stay dry and fine. And just, yeah, warming up, warmer than the UK for sure. So yeah, pretty good, I would have thought.
Loads of questions from the audience, but actually I've got some questions for the audience.
Oh, right, okay.
And for you.
Is it quiz time?
It is quiz
time. Is it Friday quiz time? Let's do the Friday weather quiz and see what's the subject this week.
All about June weather. We just had
weather. Okay.
An interesting month of weather. So these are all questions about June. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you the question. You're going to fire me your answer through the magic of the
computers.
The computers
talking to each other.
And of course, you can play along at home. So type in your answers in the chat, and we'll see who comes closest. Can you beat the Met Geek sat next to me?
Beat the geek.
So, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Remember, you can play along at home. Send us your answers in the chat. Question number one. We've seen some interesting temperatures. Cold start to June, hot end to June. But what is the average June maximum temperature in London St James's Park?
The average June maximum temperature in St James's across the whole month. To the nearest, how many decimal places do you want?
1.
1 decimal place. Wow. Okay, I'm not looking this up. I'm typing my answer in to Aidan using the magic of Teams. Other communication systems are available. I am going to go for
Infringe Fun has said 17. Reckons it's 17.
Ooh, I've gone higher than that. I'm not going to give too much away, but I've gone higher than that.
Your answers will be revealed at the end when I tell you whether you're right or wrong.
Right, how many questions have we got?
We've got 5 questions.
5 questions, okay, so that's question 1.
So, lots of... Alex B has come up with 23. Question number 2. What was the maximum temperature recorded this June in the UK?
Oh, man, I should know that, shouldn't I? I don't have to name where, just have to name the maximum temperature. And again, how many decimal places do you want?
Point, please. That's the answer I've got.
Oh, I know it was 27 point something for a while, wasn't it? But then we had the hot spell at the end of the month. And it was a heat wave, so it must be over.
Keep sending your answers in.
And we got over, actually, yeah.
Let's see how many people have been paying attention this month, including this guy. Infringe Fun's come up with 28.
Oh, it's higher than that, Infringe Fun. Come on.
Okay, question number 3.
Are these all temperature related?
So far, they're not all. No. The next one is, though. Glastonbury, obviously, held in Somerset.
Yes.
And we were talking about, in the lead up to Glastonbury, would there be a heat wave, would there not be a heat wave for Glastonbury? What is the heat wave definition if you live in Somerset?
The threshold temperature.
What's
they
the
have
threshold?
To reach. I know that. I know that.
Infringe Fun has said, I judge on the low side. I'm guessing Infringe Fun is a member of our team.
Let's hope so. Maybe it's Craig Revel Horwood. He judges on the low side, and he gets my respect for that.
Okay, like that. Question number 4. Where does the term Flaming June come from? We hear it a lot, don't we?
You do hear it a lot, yeah. The term Flaming June, where does it come from? Where does it originate from? You've got me stumped there. I can't even guess at that. Some kind of...
Keep playing along at home. This is great fun,
isn't it? This is what Friday afternoons are made for. You don't want to be doing any work on a Friday afternoon. You want to be testing your meteorological knowledge.
Okay.
This is the last question.
This is the final question. You will be pleased to know. We're almost at the end. Okay. You did the 10-day trend on Wednesday, and this is about the themes that have come through. Looking at the next 10 days, the kinds of weather themes. I analysed the 10-day trend with the help of some artificial intelligence, and we came up with the most common weather terms used in that 10-day trend. Can you name 3 of the top 10 most common weather terms?
You want me to name 3 of the most common weather terms used?
3 weather terms that you used
in the 10-day trend
in this week's 10-day trend.
Can that be a 2-word? Would that count as 1? Like
Infringe Fun has come up with Terry and June. I don't know if that's an answer to the previous question or...
Maybe they're referring to what we're doing, Terry and June. Ask your parents. I did a Terry and June reference in the office the other day, and people laughed politely, and then I went round and none of them got it because they didn't actually know what Terry and June was.
Alex B has said, did Alex D do the 10-day trend? For the purposes of this test video, yes, he did.
Yes.
Because I prepped all these questions 2 weeks ago. Okay, well, lots of great answers
I've done
there.
my answers.
And I'll tell you something, some people have got closer than you on quite a few of those questions. But let's give away the answers.
Okay.
So for question 1, average maximum temperature, London St James's Park, you went with 23.7. I can tell the answer is 21.1.
That's Yeah,
21.4.
I bet if you did the average over the last 5 years, I'd be closer. I bet that's the 30-year average, right?
No one got really close to that, actually. Infringe Fun was 17, Alex B was 23. So, yeah, a bit on the low side, a bit on the high side there, somewhere in between. Maximum temperature recorded this June, you said 31.3. We had a few guesses there, 28 Celsius, 26 Celsius. And, yeah, you were closest, actually, with that one. I don't know. I think maybe it was 31.3. It was right there, wasn't it? I haven't got the answer written down.
Wow. Wow.
But I will be better prepared in the future, I promise. Glastonbury heatwave definition if you live in Somerset. And you are right. 3 days in excess of 26 Celsius for Somerset.
26.
Question number 4.
28 in London, the home counties. 25
Where did
for
the
Scotland,
term
Northern Ireland.
Flaming June come from? Infringe Fun says it was Terry and June. You said it was a pagan ritual. No one got the answer.
Well, I'm
which
interested to know.
It's a painting by Sir Frederick Leighton, produced in 1895. A sleeping woman in a sensuous version of his classicist academic style. She was...
No one got that. I can't believe no one got that. What are you playing at, guys?
It's obvious.
Come on.
It's obvious when you think
obvious.
about it. So that is where the term Flaming June came from. It had nothing to do with the weather. Although people don't really know, that's the title he gave the painting. People don't know if it was a reference to the fact that it was a hot day in June or whether it was the lady in question was June.
Or was she particularly hot? I'm going to look this picture up.
Wow.
Anyway, moving on. You did an AI assessment.
I did.
On the
Most common
10-day
weather
trend.
terms. And you said, we can see this, low pressure, rain, jet stream, and yeah, they all came up. All those terms came up in the top 10 used terms in your jet stream. Other answers were the air, summer, front, warm, temperature, wind, North Atlantic. So,
North Atlantic.
good answers. I think by that,
I'm going to give myself...
you got 2.
Well, I got more than 2. 31.3 was the closest.
Oh no,
for
3.
the-
3
so
out
I got
of 5.
3
3
out of 5.
Well done.
I'll
And
take
well
that.
done to everyone at home who got those questions right as well.
Right, keep your questions coming in. We've got a couple more minutes before we have to go. Anything else that we can look at the weather for?
Well, Jeremy is wondering where our summer's gone. Is there any sign of it coming back?
Well, let's take a look, Jeremy, because as we talked about earlier, the jet stream has slipped south. So a couple of weeks ago, the jet stream was up here and we had the warm air. Now the jet stream slipped south, so we are on the cool side of the jet. And that doesn't look like changing very much over the next 4 or 5 days. The jet stays there, we stay on the cool side. But there are signs, if I just take the temperatures off, and there are signs that we can say goodbye to this low pressure system. There's quite a lot of uncertainty about how that goes. And then out west, it's a high and a low battle. One of these will topple in. This one could generate more rain if it's low pressure, but high pressure may also topple in. Quite a few of the models are suggesting Thursday, Friday, back end of next week, it does look as if the weather could settle down at least temporarily. It doesn't look particularly hot, but it will be getting a little bit warmer. Lot of uncertainty though at the moment. That is often the case at this time of year because there's no big global drivers or there's not a lot of we can't put a lot of emphasis on the medium to longer term. So yeah, still in doubt at the moment. Some of the computer models are suggesting in the longer range that these pinker colours will start to dominate, and that's suggesting that high pressure could control our weather a little bit later in the month. But again, must emphasise that's not a strong signal, and it is just a possibility at this stage. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on it, but certainly for the short term, the next 4 or 5 days, it's staying cool, it's staying showery. And for many of us, it will be quite a soggy scene as we go into the early part of next week in particular. So yeah, that's what's happened to summer, I'm afraid. It doesn't look too promising at the moment, but things can change pretty quickly. So make sure you're following us. We'll have much more, the weather for the week ahead will be on Monday next week, so make sure you tune into that because that will go through and hopefully we'll be able to have a bit more about Thursday and Friday in that next week.
Yeah, and that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you so much for sending your questions through. Really interesting. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the quiz. And good to see there are a lot of people paying more attention than you've been paying over the last few weeks.
I got 60%.
Yeah, could do better. Could do better.
Wow.
Okay. We do have lots more coming up in the next week or so. Obviously, we've got the end of next week looks interesting weather-wise. So, as you mentioned, week ahead forecast on Monday. And then the deep dive, you're presenting that, aren't you? And you've got a special guest.
Yes, yeah, we're looking at space weather next week, so make sure you tune in for that. That'll be on Tuesday, our deep dive every Tuesday, and we'll be looking at space weather in particular. And Krista's coming back, who we've had on before, and she was really popular. She's really good. I had Julian last week talking about, or this week talking about Hurricane Beryl with Annie, so you can catch up on that as well if you want to find out more about Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah, Met Office Storms on Twitter, definitely worth following at the moment.
Yeah, Julian runs that.
If you want to keep track of Hurricane Beryl. And you've got an evergreen piece. You've got a special explainer, haven't you, on the difference between hurricanes and cyclones on TikTok.
Yes, and we'll put we can put a link on to the difference between hurricane cyclones in the chat as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again for watching live. If you're watching this on catch up, then you can also send us comments and questions, and we can come back to those next week. When we do.
Yeah, well, yes, because we will read through all the questions, so we may come to the questions early next week. And don't forget to hit subscribe, of course, as well, and the like button.
We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.